Hi, everybody. This is Angelique from the Superwomenbabes Club, and I want to invite you for a special evening on Sunday, the 2nd of September, because we are allowing in two men in our online lounge. And the specific reason is
That's me.
two men, look at them, Martin and Jeff. And they're men that I really respect and adore. And the reason why I've invited them was because there was this huge discussion about this new book called 50 Shades of Grey. And of course, I don't have time to read the 50 Shades of Grey, but I was really intrigued by all the commentary about that this book was actually talking about a fantasy of a man that probably doesn't exist because the book is written by a woman. So it was really intriguing to me, and I actually was having a conversation with Jeff and Martin about the 50 fantasies of women, and so I thought, instead of us women talking about the fantasies about men, maybe it would be good to actually invite men, who are experts, who work with couples, who work with men, who work with women, on change, lasting change. Actually, to ask them, whether our fantasies have any foundation for reality, or whether we should actually, what was it, Martin? You said, what is it, the balloon?
Yeah, so if you can imagine a balloon, and I have a pin in my right hand and a balloon on my left hand. I'm not saying I'm gonna like pop a lot of these fantasies, but I want to bring a perspective that's beneficial, that's grounded with reality for you. I kind of when I was thinking about doing this, and when we talked about this, the first thing that came to my mind was unplugged and raw, which
Yeah.
which is something that I enjoy, right? And
Yeah.
from just thinking about this, I think what I can do for you is giving you information that's real, information that you want to know, and information that can probably maybe benefit you towards going through something that you might like more of. So that's kind of what I'm here for this particular event.
Jeff, what are your thoughts about fantasy? Because when I think about fantasy, I think about something that's too good to be true. And we were talking about this, that actually, instead of killing our dreams, because please don't kill our dreams, because we do have dreams, but there is an area where dreams, fantasy, they collide, and where can you guys step in so that we don't delude ourselves? For instance, you were saying to me that some men have been commenting that after their wife read the book 50 Shades of Grey, their wives were a bit irritated with them. And I mean, I just came back from a movie evening about the movie Crazy Stupid Love. And in that movie, the wife, in a 25-year happy marriage, basically wanted a divorce because she had an affair. And it was because he was so normal, or so, I don't know, he was too,
Yeah.
he was just too much himself, whatever. Well, he wasn't the prince in shining armor. So can you say something about your perspective on fantasy and dream and illusion?
Well, the fantasy aspects are quite interesting. And in my practice, which is mostly with corporate and professional women and men, I get the whole dynamic. And it's not unusual for a woman to have these beliefs about where the man should be, how the man should be. In the example that we talked about, where the men felt an attitude or a little bit of irritation from the female as they're reading this novel, 50 Shades of Grey, right? Novel, right? This is a novel. The contrast, you got the fantasy and the reality. Here's this guy that that I met, had this connection with, and if he burped and farted at dinner when I met him the first time, and laid on the couch, maybe we wouldn't be together today. But now the reality is set in, and now I got this fantasy book that I'm reading, and now he looks pathetic, right? So there's this contrast perspective. It's enormous difference in the reality. So where is a happy medium someplace? What's real and what's not? And I know in Martin's practice and my practice, work with what's real, and we work with what works, what's beneficial, what's useful, what's helpful, to pull people together to create this spark, and so that the men and women not just align themselves, but give them a chance to thrive in the relationship.
See,
Really thrive.
I think there's a depth that happens when actually there's realness and connection.
Yeah. Instead of the fantasy.
What's that?
Instead of the fantasy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think when people can see each other as they are, with the moles and the pimples and all that stuff,
The warts.
and the
dark
warts and all,
side.
and still love each other that way, and still like understand each other coming from that place. I think the depth of connection is so much more enriching, and I mean the fantasy aspect I think is very fun, and I think it can be merged some way. So that's kind of how I think about this stuff.
Yeah.
But where I'm coming from, where I'm coming from, men and superwomen, so supermen and superwomen, is that, all of us have fantasies, right? You probably thought that, that they say a lot of men think that their wife is going to stay the same. And actually a lot of women think that I'm going to go in this marriage and I'm going to change this guy. So there's a lot of fantasies that are quite hardcore, and that might have to do with our own biology. And what I think we want to achieve here is, whatever fantasies you might have, whatever disillusions you might have about men, about dating, about relationships, bring them to the table and ask your questions, and we're going to create a safe container so that
it'll be real.
Yeah,
it'll be raw.
So something might happen. So you might have this 5-year dispute with, let's say, your partner or ex-boyfriend or whatever, or your boss, and it might be solved tonight with two men. There's a great opportunity there, and I'm a big believer that we should educate ourselves about the differences about between men and women, because if we're going to create happy, harmonious relationships, if we're going to create synergy, we will have to take men seriously as they are, not from the fantasies that we have from all the chick flick movies that we love to watch all the time, the Sex and the City series that we love so much, etc., etc. We need to fall in love with reality. So I want to invite you for Sunday, the 2nd of September, with
Come join us, y'all.
Martin Lanzas and Jeff Forte.
We would love to chat with you.
It's gonna be great. So I'm already excited. So there you go.
That's right.
Yes.
Fantasies. Who couldn't be excited?
Fantasy or reality. No, even more
That's right.
exciting. Yes.
Maybe reality is the fantasy, ultimate fantasy. Maybe reality is the ultimate fantasy.
I just have one last thing to say as far as what's coming up for me.
Yeah.
I really want this to be a safe place where people can actually share, right?
That's right.
Yes.
And I think that's important, right? At least for me, I would like to make it more of a conversation, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to come on like teaching. I just want to get people's perspective and just give whatever I believe is from my own experience, and that whole thing, the ability to share and have an open dialogue, I think can create some type of transformation. So
yes,
that's my thing.
And Superwomenbabes, I can tell you that these two men are really excellent in their knowledge and their work. So I have invited the best people to actually either awaken us to the reality of things, fall in love with reality, or actually find out which of our dreams are actually able to become true, and instead of staying in the realm of fantasy, because fantasy already implies that it's going to stay in that realm. So, and some of them can become reality, but there might be some changes that we have to make, or some adaptations. So
Maybe one or two, not too many though.
yeah, we'll see. Anyway, if you have any questions, under the link below, we'll have all these there's a comments box, so you can ask your questions there. If you want to keep it secret, you can private message me, and I'll ask your question for you. I am.
Here's your shot to get inside information. So
Absolutely. And you don't have to mention names of people because we're not going to mention them anyway. So it's going to be a safe
names.
place. Absolutely.
No secrets spilled.
Yes.
Just the inner scoop, inside scoop.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.